L'Indonésie. Un pays archipel de plus de 17 000 îles, avec une population d'environ 270 millions d'habitants. Le pays comporte des centaines de groupes ethniques, de cultures, de langues et de religions. La faune et la flore en Indonésie est peut-être la plus riche et la plus diverse au monde. On peut encore trouver dans certaines régions de cette vaste nation des éléphants d'Asie, des orang-outans, des léopards, des ours et des espèces endémiques telles que des rhinocéros de Java, des tigres de Sumatra et des dragons de Komodo. La flore indonésienne est également l'une des plus riches et diverses au monde. Un peu plus de la moitié du pays est toujours recouverte par la forêt vierge, ce qui représente environ 8% de la forêt vierge qui subsiste sur la planète.
Karena pertama, seperti kita lihat di sekeliling kita, ini adalah hutan rawa gambut, salah satu yang terbesar, ekosistem rawa gambut terbesar di Indonesia yang fungsinya luar biasa untuk menyerap karbon dan dalam krisis iklim saat ini sangat penting untuk mempertahankan keberadaannya. Kedua, dia adalah merupakan habitat orangutan. Dan juga bagi EIA ini merupakan tempat pertama kali EIA dan juga Telapak memulai kampanye illegal logging.
Après une crise économique majeure, Haji Mohamed Suharto, le dictateur de plus de 30 ans, est obligé de démissionner. Pendant des décennies, le très lucratif secteur de l'abattage de bois en Indonésie était contrôlé par Suharto et sa clique. La fortune personnelle du dictateur est estimée à environ 38 milliards de dollars américains. Presque du jour au lendemain, la poigne de fer du gouvernement central sur le pays disparaît.
The fall of Suharto had created chaos. There was a power vacuum as the highly centralized military Javanese dictatorship fell apart with all the very, very hierarchical systems controlled from Java out right across the archipelago. All of that was starting to unravel, and there was burgeoning corruption at multiple levels.
El Niño cause l'un des pires feux de forêt jamais vus en Indonésie. Des millions d'hectares de forêts vierges sont détruits. Alarmée par certains rapports qu'elle reçoit, une petite équipe d'activistes britanniques de l'EIA commence une enquête sur les faits.
We went over to Borneo and we were trying to find out what was really going on. There was an El Nino going on, there were fires everywhere, we knew this, but why and what was happening and what was being done about it. And we drove sometimes for hours across an area that had been thick forest and was now just a mess. It was black, it was dark, you actually felt it as you went through it. It was devoid of any life.
Environmental Investigation Agency est une ONG basée à Londres. Sa mission est de protéger, respecter et célébrer le monde naturel pour le bien commun. L'EIA a pour outil l'usage de la vidéo pour les investigations et des campagnes pour poursuivre ses objectifs. Les incendies de forêt continuent de plus belle. des millions d'hectares en plus sont détruits. L'impact sur la population et la nature est immense.
We talked to people about the wildlife in the area, of which there wasn't any anymore because it had been burnt out. But they told us of stories of orangutans, for instance, that would be racing away from the fires to try and escape. And the area is littered with water and rivers and canals too that have been built. And if a orangutan comes against water, it can't swim. And so the orangutans were just being burnt to death. And the people there, the Dayaks, they felt it was the heart of the place had gone, the soul of the place had gone.
À Londres, l'EIA publie son premier rapport sur la crise des forêts en Indonésie. The Politics of Extinction souligne à quel point la corruption, le népotisme, le manque de gouvernance, le prix élevé du bois et la soif de terre pour les plantations d'huile de palme ont tous contribué à la destruction accélérée des forêts survivantes d'Indonésie, ainsi que la diminution radicale de l'habitat naturel du pays.
Putting out our report at the time, The Politics of Extinction, was really more of a response than an actual decision. Once we'd published our report, we took stock again. It had been a good scoping trip. We'd learnt a lot. We got a good feel for how we might be able to operate in Indonesia.
Auparavant, en 1967, Suharto avait fait passer une loi qui transférait le contrôle de la plupart des terres du pays à l'État.
I arrived in Indonesia 6 months after Suharto fell. The government of Indonesia invited the UK government to work with it to see what could be done to sort out the problems in the forest sector.
Utilisant les feux de forêt comme alibi, les gangs criminels et les trafiquants de bois s'installent dans de nombreux parcs nationaux du pays. Ces parcs, protégés par le régime de Suharto, sont des lieux d'une grande beauté, biodiversité et stratégiques pour l'environnement. La plupart d'entre eux sont des forêts primaires, abondant de bois durs et abritant une grande nature sauvage. Les forêts primaires, également appelées forêts primitives, vierges ou de vieux peuplements, reproduisent naturellement les anciennes forêts et les espèces d'arbres natives. Elles possèdent des caractéristiques uniques en termes écologiques et subissent peu d'impact ou d'activité humaine.
We were looking by then for a partner, and we felt also that we'd met in Telapak, an organization that had not just the same ideas in terms of what could go forward, but that we could help with the investigative side and they could help us with understanding how to move forward within Indonesia.
Ayo jalan bareng, kerja bareng, seru-seru. Kupikir itu yang satu-satunya. Alasan kedua adalah alasan yang misalnya memang kejahatan kehutanan, penghancuran hutan yang terjadi itu rasanya Telapak dan EIA bisa berbuat sesuatu. Jadi kami beruntung lah Telapak ya yang baru mulai belum tahu apa-apa gitu kan. Terus ketemu, terus memperoleh ilmu, memperoleh cara pandang, cara lihat dan cara kerja, keterampilan yang sangat tajam itu.
Telapak a été fondé à Bogor, près de Jakarta, au milieu des années 90, par un groupe d'étudiants liés à l'environnement. Le nom se traduit du bahasa par « empreinte de pas ». Le but de l'ONG est de défendre une organisation juste et viable des ressources naturelles en Indonésie, ainsi que de créer et maintenir un réseau national de personnes agissant pour l'environnement.
We decided rather to go for everything, we would focus on one thing, and that was illegal logging.
Telapak has some good up-to-date information about the situation on the ground in central Kalimantan, where this national park called Tanjung Puting, we'd heard was being heavily logged. And the reason we were interested in Tanjung Puting is it was a globally famous nature reserve, and it had a very famous population of orangutans. And we felt that if logging could be so brazen in a place like that, then Indonesia's forests would be lost.
La plupart de l'année suivante, des équipes communes à l'EIA et Telapak enquêtent sur les crimes forestiers en Indonésie. Elles se concentrent sur les parcs nationaux de Bornéo et Sumatra. les équipes se servent des nouvelles méthodes de l'EIA. L'enquête vidéo. Le nouveau format de caméscope DV de Sony est un saut technologique et bouleverse l'industrie. C'est petit, solide, facile à utiliser et devient une arme de choix dans le combat pour sauver les forêts d'Indonésie.
Jadi, yang pertama-tama ngajari cara memotret dan memvideokan itu Dave tuh. Jadi di telapak kantor telapak yang lama ada sofa merah itu kan. Dave duduk di sini, saya duduk di sini, terus ini kamera. Nah, sedangkan tentang teknis kamera itu hanya dikasih tahu, oh ini cekrek. Yang lain-lainnya saya hanya nggak ada yang perlu ingat itu. Jadi intinya kan apa intinya ya? Kalau video intinya jangan goyang-goyang gitu doang. Salah.
Ketika kita tidak dapat mengendalikan, baik dengan regulasi maupun dengan aparat keamanan dalam hal ini polisi dan polisi kehutanan, maka pelibatan civil society, masyarakat dimungkinkan.
Une des premières explorations communes est le parc national de Tanjung Puting, au sud de Bornéo.
Investigators found illegal logging in every part of the park. The area has been divided up by illegal loggers, and even trucks are used on roads built by loggers within the park boundaries. Logging rails, used to move the logs out, were discovered throughout the area. Piles of valuable ramen logs are stored along the river, and logging camps litter the riverbank. At the mouth of the river, in full view of the authorities, logs are loaded onto large steel barges. The kingpin in these activities is timber baron Abdul Rasit, who owns factories on the nearby Arut River and has close links with the military and police. Mr. Rasit's nephew, Sugianto, showed one of the factories to EIA and Telapak investigators who were posing as businessmen. Part of the Tanjung Lingga company group, this ramen factory loads unmarked ramen from rafts, dries it in drying rooms and processes it into mouldings and blinds for export to Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan and the USA.
Continuant leur enquête de terrain, l'équipe se rend vers l'écosystème Leuser, au nord de Sumatra.
EIA and Telapak investigators followed illegal loggers into the national park and filmed them preparing their logging camp. Loggers are paid a few dollars per day by the sawmill owners and are supplied the chainsaw and a repayable loan which binds them to these powerful businessmen. Investigators followed logging trucks to the local sawmills.
It's the big men that have to be gone after. That's the sawmill owners, the people that own the factories, and those people within the authorities, the military, the police, the forest department, who are also making money out of this.
Le travail de l'EIA et Telapak continue à se faire remarquer.
I bumped into Dave Curry in a very remote area of forests in Aceh with his Indonesian colleagues and thought, you know, this must be one of the few organizations, international organizations, in partnership with Indonesian groups who was really documenting what was really happening in places where, you know, few people were going. EIA was willing to get its boots dirty, get off the beaten track.
This area has the highest density of orangutans anywhere in the world.
The Final Cut est inauguré à une conférence de presse à Jakarta. Le rapport et la vidéo d'enquête qui l'accompagnent stupéfient toutes les personnes présentes et le pays tout entier.
The report was very hard-hitting, it named names, it did all this kind of stuff. Now, they'd never seen that kind of press conference ever before in Indonesia. Remember, it had been a dictatorship. there was oppression about all of that. This was the first time an environmental group had come and given this kind of presentation with the evidence, with the photos, with the video, with the names. And it was so well attended. We had CNN, we had BBC, we had Reuters, we had all the big internationals were there, but the locals were there too.
I was sitting at the back, and Indonesians were, I think, gobsmacked. They had come out of a 30-year dictatorship where the press had been constrained. You only saw state-controlled TV. So a lot of people, certainly those living in the city of Jakarta on Java, had no idea of what was going down in their forests. And they were not used to frank, open conversation and expose of things. And it had a huge impact on them. I think that was the beginning of a sort of real awakening of some kind of environmental awareness, but also a sense that this was their resource and it had been stolen from them.
It was a good time for us to be bringing in our call for action to the government, and we made it very clear that if you can't take action in Tanjung Puting, then you can't save any forest in Indonesia, because Tanjung Puting was so well known and it was so brazen what was going on. It was just outright robbery.
Kami kontak pertama kali dengan EIA ya Telapak ketika menyajikan film yang film yang termasuk berani.
Désormais reconnus comme des interlocuteurs sérieux et crédibles, l'EIA et Telapak décident de poursuivre leur partenariat.
So the final cut opened doors for us. Telapak and EIA were taken seriously now, were people that knew about these issues. We could talk to diplomatic missions, we could talk to other NGOs, we could talk to the media. We were a serious part of the game, if you like.